California, the Golden State. For over a century, this strip of land on the edge of the Pacific Ocean has been more than just a place on a map. It has been an idea. It is the end of the Western frontier, the place where you go to reinvent yourself. It is the land of the gold rush, the dream factory of Hollywood, and the silicon chips that power the modern world. If California were an independent country, it would have the 5th largest economy on the planet. It is wealthier than Great Britain, it is wealthier than France, it has more billionaires than any other state in the Union. But in 2025, the California dream has curdled into a nightmare. If you walk the streets of downtown Los Angeles, or navigate the sidewalks of San Francisco, or drive along the riverbeds of Sacramento, you do not see the 5th largest economy in the world. You see a humanitarian catastrophe that rivals the developing world. You see medieval diseases returning. You see open-air drug markets operating with impunity. You see a level of human misery that is shocking, not because it exists, but because it exists in the shadow of such immense, staggering wealth. We are witnessing the collapse of America's most powerful state. Not a collapse of its stock market, but a collapse of its humanity. Welcome to California Homeless Crisis 2025, the collapse of America's most powerful state. Today, we are going to travel the length of this broken paradise. We are going to expose the homeless industrial complex, a system that spends billions of dollars to build housing that costs more than luxury condos. We are going to walk through the containment zones of the Tenderloin and Skid Row. And we are going to meet the working homeless, the teachers, the nurses, and the service workers who sleep in their cars because the rent eats first. This is the uncomfortable truth about the West Coast. To understand the magnitude of this crisis, you have to look at the sheer numbers. Official statistics say there are over 170,000 homeless people in California. That is more than the population of many state capitals. But numbers are sterile. Let's look at the geography. We start in San Francisco, the Tenderloin district. Once, this was a gritty neighborhood. Now, it is an open-air asylum. Walking down Eddy Street or Turk Street is a visceral experience. The sidewalks are literally carpeted with bodies. You have to step over people who are unconscious, bent double from fentanyl, or screaming at invisible demons. The smell is distinct. It is a mixture of marijuana, decaying food, and human waste. San Francisco spends millions of dollars a year on poop patrols to steam clean the sidewalks, but the stain remains. We spoke to a shop owner named Win. He has run a small grocery store here for 20 years. It used to be bad, he told us, standing behind plexiglass, but now it is lawless. I see people dying in front of my door every week. The ambulance comes, takes the body, and 10 minutes later, someone else is sleeping in the same spot. We have normalized the apocalypse. The tragedy of San Francisco is the contrast. 2 blocks away from this misery are the headquarters of Twitter, Uber, and Salesforce. The tech billionaires look down from their glass towers at the squalor below. It is a tale of 2 cities stacked on top of each other. But if San Francisco is the face of the mental health crisis, Los Angeles is the face of the housing failure. Skid Row, the 50-block containment zone in downtown LA. We walked San Julian Street at dusk. It is not just a collection of tents, it is a permanent shanty town. Some of these structures have been here for years. They have electricity rigged from streetlights, they have hierarchies, they have gang taxes. But the crisis in LA has spilled over the containment lines. It is everywhere. It is under every underpass on the 405 freeway. It is along the Venice Beach boardwalk. We met a woman named Sarah, living in an RV in the San Fernando Valley. Sarah is not an addict. She is a substitute teacher. I make $3,500 a month, she told us, showing us the interior of her cramped 1,990 Winnebago. The average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in LA is $2,800. If I pay rent, I can't eat, I can't put gas in the car to get to work, so I bought this RV. I shower at the gym. I grade papers by flashlight. Sarah represents the invisible collapse, the working homeless. In California, the cost of living has become a predator. Electricity is expensive. Gas is expensive. Food is expensive. The margin for error is zero. Why is housing so expensive? Because California has spent decades making it impossible to build. Between NIMBY, not in my backyard lawsuits, environmental regulations, and zoning laws, building a simple apartment building takes years and costs millions. This brings us to the homeless industrial complex. California voters have passed bond measure after bond measure. Billions of tax dollars authorized to solve homelessness. Prop HHH in Los Angeles, Prop C in San Francisco. Where did the money go? It went into a bureaucratic black hole. We investigated the cost of supportive housing units funded by these measures. In some cases, the cost to build a single unit, a small studio apartment for a homeless person, has exceeded $800,000. Think about that. $800,000. You could buy a mansion in Ohio for that. In California, it builds 400 square feet of government housing. The developers get rich, the consultants get rich, the nonprofits get rich, and the homeless population grows. We spoke to a housing advocate who asked to remain anonymous. It's a racket, he said. If we actually solved homelessness, a lot of people would lose their six-figure jobs. There is no incentive to fix it efficiently. The incentive is to keep the funding flowing. And while the politicians argue over budgets, the streets are governed by a different force, fentanyl. California is the end point of the fentanyl supply chain coming from Mexico. The drug is cheap, plentiful, and lethal. It has replaced meth and heroin as the king of the street. In San Diego, we visited the riverbeds. The San Diego River is a hidden city. Hundreds of people live in the brush, invisible to the tourists at the zoo. We found a camp run by a man named Ghost. He was a former Marine. California has a massive veteran homeless population. The VA failed us, Ghost said. The state failed us. We built our own community here, we look out for each other, but the fentanyl, it's picking us off one by one. Ghost pointed to a tent that was zipped shut. My buddy in there died 2 days ago. We're waiting for the coroner. They're so backed up, they haven't come yet. That is the reality of California in 2025, a state so overwhelmed by death that the bodies have to wait in line. The collapse of California is also a legal collapse. For years, laws like Proposition 47 decriminalized theft and drug possession to reduce prison populations. The intention was compassionate. The result was chaos. Police officers told us they have stopped arresting people for shooting up in public or stealing from stores because they are released within hours. There are no consequences, a weary LAPD officer said, and when there are no consequences, there is no order. The street rules itself. This lawlessness creates a terrifying environment for the homeless themselves. The women are preyed upon, the elderly are beaten for their social security checks. The encampments are often run by gangs who extort the residents for protection money. It is a Hobbesian nightmare. Life is nasty, brutish, and short. But perhaps the most tragic part of the California story is the loss of the dream. For generations, people came here to build a better life. Now, for the first time in history, more people are leaving California than moving in. The middle class is fleeing to Texas, to Arizona, to Nevada. They are fleeing the taxes, the crime, and the cost of living. They are fleeing the site of the collapse. Those who remain are the very rich, who can afford to live behind gates and private security, and the very poor who are trapped on the pavement. The middle is gone. As we stood on the cliffs of Santa Monica, watching the sunset over the Pacific, the beauty was undeniable. The palm trees, the ocean breeze, the golden light. It is still the most beautiful place in America. But turn around. Look at the park behind you. Tents, shopping carts, a man screaming at the sky. California is a warning to the rest of the United States. It is a demonstration of what happens when ideology trumps reality. It is what happens when you prioritize bureaucracy over results. It is what happens when you let the housing market become a casino where only the house wins. The Golden State is tarnished. The infrastructure of society, the social contract that says if you work hard, you will have a home, has been breached. We are looking at the ruins of a civilization that is still standing. Thank you for watching this investigation into the California crisis. It is a massive, complex tragedy, but we cannot look away because as goes California, so goes the nation. If you believe that we need to demand accountability for the billions of dollars wasted, please like this video. It helps us break the silence. And please, subscribe to America's Uncomfortable Truth. We are committed to exposing the reality behind the headlines. Leave a comment below. Is the California dream dead? Stay safe, look out for your neighbors, and never stop demanding the truth.